Welcome everyone. Now, what I'm going to show you today is how to do a proper fillet of an Australian salmon. I've been fishing for Australian salmon, or catching Australian salmon, for the past couple of years, and I haven't seen one video that shows you how to fillet a fish properly. So I've caught a couple of salmon here last night, and I'm just going to walk you through that process on how to do a good fillet. As you know, Australian salmon, one that we have here, is it's a high quantity blood fish. So there is a lot of blood in there. People will bag it and say it's not good to eat, but as long as you do it the right way, then essentially you'll be able to eat that fish and have a really good quality meal. So the first thing that you need is a good fillet knife. Something around the $60 mark is going to be a decent quality. So that's your first thing. So if you get a good fillet knife, it's going to make your life a lot easier when you do filleting. The other thing to do is, before you're filleting, is to, sharpen your knife before you start the filleting process. It just makes it a lot easier to fillet. So what you want to do is grab your Australian salmon, pop it on your chopping board. Okay, and the first thing that we want to do is remove the head. Okay, so just above the head area, on a bit of an angle behind the fin here, and just slice it through. So you're going to hit the backbone. It's going to be a bit harder or tougher to cut, but you just want to just push through it and cut it all the way through. Okay, so you've removed the head. Okay, so that's the first step in the process. Okay, what I like to do is then remove the insides. So if there's any, well, there will be, the innards of the salmon, just remove that and just give it a bit of a rinse. I like to rinse my knife after each sort of part of the filleting process as well, and my chopping board, just to make it a little bit cleaner and easier to do. Okay, so there you have a headless Australian salmon. Okay, so what you want to do is take your knife and probably about, I don't know, just over halfway along the backbone, you just want to insert the knife into the backbone here. And what you'll do is you'll feel it hit the spinal vertebrae within there. And you want to bring it to the front. Gently just bring that knife to the front all the way through. Okay, again, rinse your knife after each cut, makes it a lot easier. So you've worked yourself from left to right, and now what you want to do is work yourself from right to left. So this is a little bit different. So you're going through that same incision point, but you want to go right through this time. So above that backbone, and you want to go right through and hold your hand just above it and just bring it along that backbone, applying a little bit of pressure to that knife so you're taking as much meat as possible with it. So you've cut that through, and I'll show you from this side now. So if you just want to bring the camera along this side. So what we want to do is gently, because you've got a sharp knife, you just want to work your knife along there. You'll come across the rib cage. So what you want to do is just gently cut over the rib cage there. As you can see, I'm just cutting along, bringing the knife, just taking as much meat as possible with me. Okay, so gently just scoring it. And then cutting it straight through. Okay, so what I do is I just take that fish now, just pop it to the side. So what you have there is essentially a fillet, which needs to be obviously skinned. So Australian salmon, you shouldn't leave the skin on, I don't think, because it has a high blood content in that skin area. And now that blood content will run essentially, I'll just show you, all across here. So it's probably about 1 mil thick, and it runs all that whole width of that skin there. So we need to remove that skin. Now there's a technique to do this, which I think a lot of the other videos that I've watched don't necessarily show the correct way of doing it. So a lot of videos that you see is they will skin, but they will hold the knife essentially quite firm, pointing down or on a sharp angle down. And so what that essentially does, it takes every bit of meat with it, but it also takes that blood with it. So it makes it a lot harder in the next step that we're going to do. So essentially what you want to do is just hold the knife on an angle, flat angle like that. So what I do is hold the tip of the knife and just run it. So you're basically cutting through the meat only, and you're not holding it too firmly or on that angle. You're holding it kind of on 180 degree there. And so you're bringing it across and just cutting through the meat. Keep that coming through. And so that's cut through now. And as you can see there, so this is what now we haven't taken with us. With the other method of holding the knife firmly down, you'll take that whole bloodline with you, and essentially then you get 2 fillets, or you get the fillet with a complete blood on the top. At the moment, all we've got is this trace through the middle, which is going to make it easy for us to remove. So all we want to do at this point in time is, if there might be a couple of bones there that we've taken through that rib cage, but that's fine, we'll remove those now. So you want to hold the knife on, not straight down, but on an angle. That bloodline essentially runs in a V like that. So we're going to cut it just like this, and it's just gently bringing it across, not taking any of that blood with you. And there you go. You've got one perfectly clean, bloodless Australian salmon fillet. And now that's absolutely perfect and easy to cook, and you're not going to get any of that foul taste or that strong blood, taste, fishy taste that you would essentially get if you did take that blood or cook that blood. So on the other side of the fillet now, we're going to run the same thing on a bit of an angle because we're running it along that V channel there. We can just discard that, and essentially we have another essentially bloodless fillet ready to cook. Now, I've given a lot of these fish away to friends and family and so forth, and I essentially fillet the fish for people, and everyone has said how good quality fish that is and how great it tastes. Not one person has said it tasted awful, whatever it may be. So now what we want to do, we want to do the other side now. So, and the reason why I removed the head in that first step is so that the fish lays completely flat. If you have the head still on there, it's going to be sitting up like that. It's going to make it a lot harder to fillet. So we're going to do the same thing that we did to the other side of the fillet. So about just above halfway, we're going to insert the knife in there until you hit that backbone and just bring it across. Okay, through. And all the way through on the other side. So from left to right. So we've got that back bit off, and now we just want to lift it up and slowly just let your sharp knife do all the work. You don't need to put any pressure in there, and you want to go along that rib cage again. So filleting across that rib cage. So we're leaving that there. Eventually that fillet will come off. Put a cut through that little piece there. And as you can see there, not a lot of meat is left on that. Okay, so it's essentially the carcass of that Australian salmon. There is a tiny bit of meat here, but nothing, you know, too big. So most of that meat is in this section here. Just going to rinse my hands, rinse my knife. So pop your fillet back on there. Again, you want to put your thumb there. You want to hold that knife flat and just bring it through the fillet. So sometimes you just need to grip it because it does get a little bit slippery. And so you're just cutting through that meat on that flat angle of the knife. Again, you're letting the knife do all the work. You're not really putting a lot of pressure. And again, it's just imperative that you do have a nice strong knife, a nice sharp knife, sorry. Just the bone there, you can just remove that. Okay, so again, you can see there, most of that blood, which, you know, completely fills that, most of that skin area has been removed. Tiny little bit, a couple of mil of meat there, but again, this makes your life a lot easier when you're then going through that fillet process. Pop your fillet flat on the table. Let's actually, we'll do it like this. So as you can see there, that is a lot thicker on that side and thinner on that side. So that bloodline essentially runs in that V section. So we want to hold our knife again on that, going along that V, just a nice slit through there. There you go. So if there's any bones, so I've missed one of the rib bones here, you can just slice that off. You don't want any bones in your fillets. And again, there you got a nice clean Australian fillet, Australian salmon fillet, ready to cook. Okay, so the final piece we have, I like to flip it around, depending on whether you're left or right-handed, may be a little bit different. So just holding it there, running it across that bloodline on a V, pulling it through. Discard that little bit, and again, another perfect bloodless fillet ready to cook. Okay, so that will just make your Australian salmon taste so much better. You're not going to get any of that really strong odorous smell that often is in that blood content. And yeah, it's just going to be a really good eating fish for something that is often, you know, regarded as a poor eating fish. I think the reason for that is because people don't fillet them properly. And hopefully this video helps you, you know, catch your salmon and helps you then fillet them a lot easier. So the process essentially is, you know, about 5 minutes per fish, which is just going to make it a lot easier to do. Thanks for watching.